Hi. Um, I almost wasn't gonna have my microphone on, but I think that if I'm really being honest about it, this is too important for me not to have a microphone on because there's a washing machine in the background anyway. So what happened last night was, okay, so I forget what time this happened, but there was drone aircraft flying over Woodingdean yesterday night. And after the aircraft, I felt some directed energy weapons hitting the right side of my chest, like here, which means they were trying to locate my heart with the weapons. Now, this is the thing, right? I talked about Pauline's situation and I talked about everything that happened since the interview, but there was also something else that I mentioned in my Facebook. I mentioned in my Facebook something that I think I've mentioned before, which is I have been mind controlled into every time some middle-aged white guy says hi to me or says some variation of hello, I say hello back. It's a mind control maneuver in order for them to sort of take back control, as it were, because I don't typically like to greet my traffickers. Like, I don't typically like to greet gang stalkers, do you know what I mean? Especially not those close to me. I don't like greeting people who are trying to kill me. That's just the thing that I have. So in order to take back control, I believe that what's happened is that I've been mind controlled and hypnotized via voice to skull and via neurolinguistic programming, which is what street theater consists of. Like a combination of those two things has been causing me to greet a middle-aged white man with gray hair back every time he says hello. I say hello back. And I know you're going to say that sounds absolutely crazy. Well, it's supposed to sound crazy. That's how gang stalking works. Gang stalking works with petty little details like who you say hello to. Mm. The weaponization of details, the weaponization of minor details for major ends is exactly how gang stalking gets away with whatever it gets away with. And when it comes to voice to skull in general, um, when it comes to voice to skull, I usually hear it when I'm in the space between waking and sleeping. Usually they say some variation of my name. Either they deliberately get my name wrong, or they call my name, or they say, they start mocking something about me. Like, for example, I was at my dad's house and voice to skull was being used. And they said something like, oh, we can do anything we want now, right, Fabian? Something like that, right? There is voice to skull being used, and it's being used by people with multiple different cultural backgrounds. So it's not just people who speak English or people who speak like one particular language. Voice to skull has been like experimented on me for the longest time now, and I haven't spoken much about it because it's one of those things where if you don't have the equipment, you can't tangibly prove it. I can tangibly prove that my perps are harassing me. I can even tangibly prove that I've been tortured. I've got marks all over my body and my face. This isn't acne. This is where the fucking electronic weapons have hit. A lot of the scars on my body are from where electronic weapons have hit. So even with electronic weapons, you can tangibly prove you've been attacked with them. The dryness that you see from my skin and hair, that's from the gang stalking. That's from the electronic torture, because it dehydrates your skin. Remember, directed energy weaponry works with concentrated energy. Microwave weapons, electromagnetic frequencies, dries out the subject. It dries out the subject of the weaponry, dries out the target. So I can even tangibly prove the microwave weapons at a pinch. You saw Pauline. We can prove it. We can prove we're being attacked with these weapons. All you have to do is just use your fucking eyes. But when it comes to voice to skull, that's more difficult to prove. And it's more difficult to prove because people have been hearing voices long before voice to skull had anything to do with anything. So voice to skull technology, even though we know the difference between voice to skull and something that's just a voice in our head, even though we know the difference, we know that it's voice to skull being used on us, it's more difficult to prove because, again, people have been hearing voices for the longest time, and it's something that gangstalkers always come back to provide themselves with deniability that they are using voice to skull weaponry. So yeah, that's why I barely ever mentioned my voice to skull. I've mentioned it before, but I've literally been going through voice to skull for years. And I've never talked about it at length until now because voice to skull is very, very difficult to prove. How do you think targeted individuals have been hit with the paranoid schizophrenic label? That's the loophole. The voice to skull. Like voice to skull, it's very easy to subject somebody to voice to skull and then diagnose them as paranoid schizophrenic because people have heard voices before. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's why I've never spoken about it. The first reason is that, deniability, the deniability factor. And I think the second reason why I haven't mentioned the voice to skull thing before is because I just don't fucking care what they say. I don't give a fuck what they have to say. Like, even when I'm in between sleep and waking, what the fuck could they have to say to me that's of any use to me at all? They're just going to say the same shit. Either they're going to disrespect my name, or they're going to say some stupid shit, or they're going to taunt me about something, or they're going to I don't care what they have to say. This is a group of people that protects pedophiles and traffickers and murderers and torturers. I don't care what they have to say. So whatever it is they have to say during the voice to skull, in between sleeping and waking, I legitimately don't give a fuck. And I think they know that. And I think that's why they've been able to send me subtle suggestions through the V2K, because they know I don't care what they have to say. So if I don't care what they have to say, and I'm not going to say hello to any gang stalker that greets me, again, the gang stalkers and the perps have to find some way to bring the power back. So they strategically mind control me to do two things. The first thing is they mind control me to have my thoughts and opinions be disjointed, especially in between the sleeping and waking stage. There are often gaps in memory, gaps in sentences and things like that, because that's how they've programmed it. It's not just the torture that's created this phenomenon in me. It's also voice to skull hypnosis, right? So, yeah. So, that's the first reason why I don't mention voice to skull. It's because they're just going to say some dumb shit. Anyway, well, that's the second reason that I don't mention it. The first reason is that it's difficult to prove. Second reason is that, when they do voice to skull, they're just going to say some dumb shit anyway. But I do believe that they are making me say hello to middle-aged white men in particular. And I believe the reason for this is because as a targeted individual, I believe that my technology is bugged. Everybody's technology is bugged anyway, but I believe my shit in particular is bugged. And I think that because it's bugged, whatever footage is shown on live stream attracts a particular set of people. And I believe that those particular set of people are either very young or very old, right? Or they're middle-aged misfits. So I believe that the people that I'm being made to say hello to could make up some of the clientele base for this dark web footage. Because again, TIs are we're not just tortured with remote weapons and watched and all that type of stuff. We're also filmed. We're also bugged. And the footage and the audio are usually sent to the black market. Or you can have perps who are enjoying the footage on their own. It's happened before. It happened when I lived in Willesden Green, right? So yeah, it's a whole range of different things. And yeah. So that's what I believe. I believe that's why I've been hypnotized and mind controlled into saying hello to dudes like this. because dudes like that most likely make up the customer base of whoever is observing me over the dark web. This is one of the reasons that I've said that gang stalking is also trafficking. I'm not, like, again, you heard Pauline's story. I'm not making this up. The amount of people who have been trafficked with unlawful surveillance, trafficked through rape, trafficked through even organ theft. There are at least a couple of people I know of that have been put into a deep sleep, just like Pauline was, and they've had their organs stolen. You have no idea how deep this shit goes. How deep this shit goes. TIs are also trafficking victims. Don't let a damn thing fool you. That's why do you think so many TIs are such fucking prudes? It's not for no reason. It's not for no reason. It's because the people torturing us and the people watching us being tortured are getting off on this. And it's me explaining this. It was me explaining this last night that finally caused the gang stalkers to put weapons on my heart. When I started exposing my own voice to skull technology, the ones that were being used on me and what it was being used for, as soon as I started exposing that, I got electronic weapons fired on my heart. The second I started exposing that. So yeah, this is nothing new. Like TIs are trafficking victims too. This is nothing new. Absolutely nothing new. And like, I literally wasn't going to get my microphone for this because the torture of my heart has left me a little bit tired. It's left me quite tired. And it's not just due to the sleep deprivation. When your heart is put under a certain amount of strain, it can leave you like feeling weak and without energy. Like I said before, like, you know, the whole point of firing weapons on your heart is to weaken you as well as frighten you, right? And kill you, obviously. But yeah, like I almost didn't get my microphone. I almost couldn't be bothered to do that because like I was just so tired after that attack on my heart. I was just so fucking tired, man. But yeah, it was ever since that I revealed that voice to skull was being used on me and what it was being used for. That's when the attacks on my heart started. Bear in mind, these attacks on me, these voice to skull attacks have been happening for a while now. But again, I didn't bring them up because they're very difficult to prove. You need the right technology to be able to prove that you're having voice to skull used against you. You know, and the brain frequency modulation, the manipulation of that can also be manipulated too to make you more easily suggestible to hypnotic suggestion. So it's not just the voice to skull, it's also manipulating your brain frequency modulation in a bid to make you more susceptible to suggestion, make you more susceptible to subliminal suggestion. It does that as well. So, you know, Barry Trower explained it all. So the simplest way that he put that is this, right? What they do is they have specific vans or vehicles stationed outside your property. And then what they do from there is they map out, they try to find your location first, try to find your exact location. Then what they do from there is they map your brain frequencies. And then what they do, this is a hijacking maneuver that they do. So first they match your brain frequencies, whatever it is that you're emitting. And then what they do is they match the brain frequencies at first so that your brain can't tell the difference between your own brain activity and artificial frequency modulations that are entering your property. Like, they will match your brain frequencies at first so that your brain can't tell the difference. And then once they've merged with your brain frequencies, they will kind of not inject, but they will place like a different brain frequency to interrupt that pattern and to get your brain frequency to respond. So basically what they will do is they will match your energy, then change it. It's much a similar way to a form of behavior where, let's just say so a physical example of something like this, right? Let's just say I'm walking a particular way, right? Let's just say I have a limp or something, right? If I'm walking with a limp, then what somebody in front of me is going to do, this is an NLP technique. What somebody in front of me is going to do is they're going to walk with that same limp. That's one of the reasons why a lot of targeted individuals have their behavior copied, by the way, is to change your behavior. It's brain hacking in much the same way. So let's just say I'm walking with a limp. Somebody in front of me is walking with a limp. What we will do is we will walk the same way, me behind them, because they want to be able to influence my behavior by making me see what they're doing. So we're both walking with this limp, right? And let's just say, for argument's sake, right, they deliberately fall so far over that they almost trip. And if they're doing it correctly, then I will fall over and I will trip. Do you understand what I mean? It's a way of influencing your behavior. So it's like copying you and then interrupting that pattern by doing something different so that the person you're imitating ends up imitating that form of behavior. That's a form of brain hacking that's more ancient. So what we have is the technological equivalent of that when it comes to manipulating brainwaves. Amal Mohammed, who I used to live with in Willesden Green, often talked about brainwaves. She kept bringing up brainwaves. This is why. It's because the technology that are being used on targets is basically a technological form of that. They map your brain frequencies, they track your brain frequencies. And then once they've tracked those brain frequencies, once they've mimicked them successfully, they introduce another brain frequency modulation in order to change your behavior or to change the behavior of your brain. That's brain hacking. They can also use that to make you more susceptible to suggestion when it comes to the voice to skull hypnosis. I bet you any money that is how Pauline could have been put into a deep sleep. I think even I've been put into a deep sleep before. And I think the most recent example of this is back in Cricklewood. Back in Cricklewood, I was asleep, but it was like I was asleep, but I could sense what was going on around me. I swear, and I'm not making this up, back in Cricklewood, when I was asleep, somebody kissed me on the fucking cheek. I don't know what the fuck was going on back in Cricklewood, but somebody did something to me. I think personally that I was implanted with something. I don't think that I was raped. I don't think that I was nothing like that. I think that I was implanted. And I think whoever kissed me on the cheek had a massive obsession with me. I don't know who the fuck it was, but they had an obsession with me. Right? So that's how targeted individuals can be hypnotized. That's how they can be put into a deep sleep. It's a manipulation of brain frequency modulation and voice to skull that creates an environment where the subject is supposed to be easily manipulated. But then again, there's also the physical brain hacks that I talked about before, the NLP techniques. NLP techniques are very important when it comes to manipulating people. So it's not just the technological brain hacking that I talked about. It's not just the voice to skull. Street theater performs the role of not just unbalancing you, not just making you afraid and frightened. It's also supposed to influence how you behave. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's supposed to influence how you behave, right? And I'm not supposed to talk about, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it because the gangstalkers, hold on a minute. Give me a second. Give me 1 second. All right. So the gangstalkers are also destiny swapping with you when they do this. The gangstalkers are attempting to destiny swap with you, try to take your talent, try to take whatever it is about you that makes you unique. They try to take that from you. So it's not just data theft. It's not just simple data theft, and it's not just like tit for tat shit. It's also destiny swapping, attempting to take your place, as it were. Right? So there's destiny swapping. There's the attempt to influence your behavior through street theater. There's the attempt to, turn you into basically mosh, turn you into, something that can be easily manipulated, like a sim or something. That's the whole point of this gang stalking thing. It's behavioral control. It's trafficking. It's murder. It's all of these things. And they do all of this not only through technology, not only through, street theater, but they also do it through abuse, through financial abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse. But in my particular case, when it came to me talking about the V2K and what I was being made to do, that was causing the perps to try to scare me with heart torture, and try to kill me, like kill two birds with one stone. Me talking about that V2K was what caused them to do that, is what caused them to do that attempted murder, because I was getting too close to figuring out what they were doing. It wasn't just Pauline. Pauline is that, like I said, Pauline just opened the floodgates. There are things that I've been knowing for a long time, and I've been waiting for the right time to talk about them. And when I started talking about the dark web shit, yeah, that's when weapons were fired on my heart. You know that whole incident with Pelico. I can't remember her full name, but there's a woman called Pelico. I remember the name of the abuser, Dominique Pelico. Remember, he put his wife in a deep sleep. He drugged his wife and had like God knows how many people like raping her and stuff like that. He was a member of civil service in France, but he was a member of civil service. Civil service are facilitating this. Again, think of how many people within the police are far right leaning. Think of how many people in the police are taking kickbacks from trafficking. Like, you got the military all over our case. Not even Pauline's, mine as well. Every TI in this country, you've got military and military intelligence behind this shit. You seriously don't think that police are involved? You don't think psychiatry is involved? You're a fool if you don't think they're involved. There's a whole network of some very unsavory people. And as I established with the last video that I made, these people do not care. And I mean, they do not care that they've been trafficking you. They don't care that they've been trafficking children. They don't care that they've been raping people. They brag about the shit because they know that if we're able to do anything, it's not going to be anything of note. They know they have too much protection. They know we can't do shit like that except speak out. But then again, maybe that's all we need. If they're reacting like this and trying to kill me at every opportunity that they can get, I mean, the weapons are being fired at my heart now. They're still going. If they need to constantly try to kill me or disable me, then obviously maybe speaking out was the only thing I needed to do. Know what I mean? But yeah, I've been aware of the voice to skull thing for a while, and that particular thing is why they tortured me last night. They have been stepping up their efforts since August, since I tried to interview Pauline on live in August, right? They've been stepping up their efforts since then. But when I started talking about my voice to skull and I started talking about my experiences with mind control, that's when they got really belligerent last night. And that's when they tried to kill or frighten me. But this is the thing. It's like I said, I'm looking at like I've always known about all of these things, but having the truth validated to me in real time, like it's legit changing me. Like it's legit It's one thing to know about how horrific the world truly is and how weak and selfish people truly are. Like, it's one thing to know that, but knowing that is not the same as being validated in that truth and validated in that knowledge. It's not the same as being in a space where you can really believe what's actually happening. And now I've been put in a position where, because of everything that's happened, and now I fully believe and understand what's happening now. And death, it just doesn't hold the same threat like it used to. I don't want to die. I've said that before. I have no interest in dying, right? But I would rather be a dead TI than a living gangstalker. I would rather be somebody who went out trying to make this world a better place than to fucking stick around a little bit longer just because I torture somebody to death. Like, yo, like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But the gangstalkers want death to be this big threat. And it's just like, there are worse things than death. Like losing your soul. Losing your soul is so much worse than death. It's so much worse. It's like, it's just fucking worse. To live a life where you are constantly not happy no matter what it is you're surrounded by. To live a life where everything that you've gained is because of the blood on your hands. To live a life where you're so dopamine addicted you need cruelty to tide you over. Nah, that is empty. That is no way to live. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's no way to live. Bit like needing cruelty to function. Like being so dopamine starved, you need cruelty to function. Baby, you can keep that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I was able to sleep last night. In spite of the fact that I was being tortured in the heart, I was able to sleep. I mean, I'm usually able to sleep, but, it didn't scare me. It didn't scare me, and the gangstalkers know that. It didn't scare me, and it won't scare me. Because I know what side of the curtain I'm standing on. I know what side of the curtain I'm standing on. And once you know that, it's difficult to feel afraid of anything anymore. Like, being okay to die is not the same as wanting to. I don't want to die. Like I said before, I'm just starting to like myself. I'm just starting to love myself and who I am. And it's always typical that just when I'm starting to love something and truly appreciate it, that like it's being threatened to be taken away from me. That's just the story of my life. Yeah. That's just the story of how my life works. Just when I'm starting to love something, just when I'm starting to thrive within it, that's when it's taken away from me. Why should my relationship with myself be any different? That's what gang stalking does. Why should my relationship with myself be any different? But I'm okay to die. If it comes to it, I'm okay to do that because I don't see death the same way anymore. When I leave this earth, I'm going to leave this earth with a clear conscience. Not even with a clear conscience, with my soul intact. With my soul intact. You can't put a price on that. You cannot put a price on that. Cannot take that from me. Doesn't matter how much you try to villainize me, it doesn't matter. They can't take that away from me. They will never be able to take that from me. And I think they're starting to realize that. That's why they're getting desperate. What I'm still stuck on is how many children have ended up being violated and in all probability murdered for nothing, for false promises. Because how many people let's talk about child trafficking. And TIs are trafficking victims. And a lot of TIs have been targets since birth. If you really want to get into how children are trafficked, how many of them like legitimately make it out alive though? How many of them make it out alive? David Scott Baker was a targeted individual from the time he was 11 years old, and he was being, he'd been abused by somebody in the church. He was targeted from the time that he spoke out. He didn't make it out alive. He died of terminal cancer in middle age. He didn't make it out. He didn't make it out. How many children trafficking make it out alive? And how many of the people doing it, how many of the people who kill and abuse and torture are promised things that are never materialized? How much blood has been spilled for nothing and no reason? That's the thing I'm still stuck on. At least if like these people are trying to kill me because of that interview with Pauline, then they're killing me for a reason. If they are killing me because I spoke out about the voice to skull, and I spoke out about everything that was being done to me, and I spoke out against everything my dad's neighbors were doing, everything my neighbors were doing, everything Brent Mine was doing, everything Brent was doing, everything Brighton and Hove doing. If I die because of exposing everybody, then I died for a reason. I died for a cause. I am not just their sacrifice that they're putting forward to their fucking blood gods. I am the sacrifice for my cause. You understand? That's exactly what this is. I am the sacrifice for my fucking cause. Because I died for a reason. I didn't die for nothing. I made an intentional choice. Ironic. Yeah. So if I die, then I've been sacrificed for a reason. I'm not just being sacrificed for like some Freemasonic bullshit. I'm not just sacrificed for some alchemical fraternity or whatever the fuck they're doing over there. I'm sacrificed. I am the sacrifice for my cause. Period. I'm the sacrifice for my cause. Do you understand what I'm saying? And the thing is, we know these alchemical fraternities and these bigger companies that, that follow the blood gods and that serve the blood gods. We know that they kill people, millions upon millions of people every single day, sacrificing those people to those blood gods. We know that. But this way, again, if I'm being killed for that interview with Pauline, and if I'm being killed for exposing my own targeting with regards to the voice to skull, with regards to the dark web stuff, with regards to, the mind control stuff, if I'm dying because of that, then I'm dying for a reason, and I've been sacrificed for a reason. And I am my own sacrifice for a reason. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not just a sacrifice. I'm not the sacrifice for the Freemasons. I'm not the sacrifice for the alchemical fraternities. It doesn't matter how much they want to spin it. They've lost. They've lost. They can villainize me as much as they want after they've murdered me. And again, they will do that. They can basically villainize me as much as they want. They can spin all the stories about how I was a bully and how I was a this, that, and the third. They can spin all the lies that they fucking want. But the truth of the matter is, I was a sacrifice for a cause that was built to save people. I died for a reason. I'm not like the rest of these poor people who will put forth the sacrifices for doing nothing more except wanting justice for themselves. I died for a reason. Just like a lot of TIs who spoke out died for a reason, died for a sacrifice. I'm going to be part of that egregore that is dedicated towards ending gang stalking and bringing justice to all those who have suffered underneath it. I'm going to be part of that fucking egregore. You understand me? So again, death doesn't have the same meaning for me anymore. It doesn't have the same meaning for me as it does for the gang stalkers. The gang stalkers fear death like you wouldn't believe. Fear pain like you wouldn't believe. Why do you think they inflict so much of it on other people? Because they fear that shit in a way that we never will. I told people, I kept telling people it takes death to make an empress. Kept telling people that. People thought I was playing. Sure. You know what I mean? But yeah, just when I'm starting to love myself, just when I'm starting to really like have some deep-seated self-respect, now this shit pops up. Now I get fucking heart torture. Story of my fucking life. You know what I mean? Story of my life, mate. But yeah. I don't know if I should go or not. I keep feeling like I have more to say. It's just on the tip of my tongue. I keep feeling like I have more to say. My weapons are being fired at my heart, by the way. I think it's electromagnetic weapons this time because it feels tingly. So I feel like it's electromagnetic frequency weapons this time. If it feels like thudding or piercing, then it's probably the directed energy stuff, but I feel like it's EMFs this time. But yeah. 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 Death doesn't hold the same meaning for me anymore. Maybe it does. Again, the gang stalkers are terrified of death. They're terrified of this is you know what really like trips me out? Gang stalkers are terrified of their own death, but that's exactly what they want. Gang stalkers want to die. They want to die and it scares them. It scares them that they want to die. And the irony of all irony is, I don't want to die and that doesn't scare me. It's not that I don't care if I live. I absolutely do care that I live. I give a fuck that I live, but I'm not scared of that. It doesn't scare me to want to live. Gang stalkers want to die and that fucking terrifies them because it doesn't make sense. That's why they inflict so much death and pain on people, especially death, because they want to fucking die. They know that the best way they can contribute to this planet is to leave it. But there's something keeping them here, like for longer than they want to be. There's something keeping them here. They don't want to be here. They don't want to be here. And that fact, that knowledge, it's fucking terrifying to them. It's absolutely terrifying to them. So they want the world to feel their terror so that we too might know the pain of wanting to die and having that scare us. But like with me, it's had the opposite effect because I've been through so much pain and I've been through so much grief. Even I have to be like, nah, Fabian, you're a badass. Marsha the Great is Marsha the Great for a reason. Even I had to sit back and be like, yo, give myself props. Even I had to do that. Even I couldn't deny what I was anymore or how much of a survivor that I was. Even I couldn't deny it to myself anymore. And I'm my biggest critic. I went through that much pain and that much grief, and I'm still going through that to the point where even I can't deny that I'm that bitch. I can't deny that anymore. I can't deny that with a straight face because of what I'm continuing to survive. And not only what I'm continuing to survive, what I'm dying for. Bitch, stop it. Stop it. You know what I mean? So all that's made me do is have this unwavering self-confidence and self-belief where I can be very upfront about the fact that I'd like to live and I'd like to live healthy and I'd like to, be in my 70s cutting the fuck up. Like not even my 70s, like in my 80s cutting the fuck up like my gran was. Like I can freely admit that I want to live. I can freely admit that I want to live longer just to see what else I can fuck up in this dank and fucking scary ass world where Nazism is on the rise. I want to see how much trouble I can fucking cause. I'm happy to say that I absolutely want to live. Not even out of spite, but out of self-respect. I can absolutely say that I want to live. And yet, when faced with my own death or faced with my own murder, not be afraid of it. Because I'm not afraid of something that I've never wanted. How can I be? So the gangstalkers want us to feel the fear and terror of wanting to die and not being able to. And how frightened that makes them. They want us to feel that same pain. And the irony is that the more I go through this gang stalking is the less that I become that way. That's the irony of this. Oh, I've got to sit back down. This torture is affecting my back a little bit. Hang on. Oh, God. If the heart torture continues on like this, I might not be able to make my blood test today. Because when I go out walking and I have these attacks on my heart, the heart torture, usually it affects my ability to breathe when I walk. So, I might have to cancel if it comes to that. But, it is what it is. It is what it is. But, yeah. Like, again, people thought I was bluffing when I said that shit. Like, I'm not fucking, I'm not fucking bluffing, mate. I got better things to do than bluff about this shit. Well, come the fuck on now, man. Come the fuck on now. Like, I got better things to do than bluff about this shit. Anyway, I gotta go. I don't know what I'm gonna do now. I'm probably gonna call the doctor and let them know I have to cancel. But yeah, I will see you guys another time. And yeah, we'll talk soon. Take care. Peace and blessings. Bye bye. Marsha the Great out.